Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have some very basic maintenance. We're going to be doing the oil and filter change on this 2014. It's a Nissan Altima with a 2.5 liter engine. So I'm going to bring you up front. I'm going to show you where the oil drain plug is located, where the filter is located, what kind of tools you're going to need to get the job done, and then we'll lower it down and we're going to put the oil back into it. One thing I will tell you is wear gloves, because oil is never good to get on your skin. So you'll always see me wearing gloves whenever I do pretty much any kind of repair work. So let's get up front. Let me show you where everything is located, and then we're going to get started. Okay, well, before we get started, I just want to show you what kind of tools you're going to need to do the job. You're going to need a socket set such as this. You're going to need, of course, a fairly long ratchet that you can get some good leverage out of to get the bolt loosened fairly easy. I know that this is a 14 millimeter nut to drain the oil out of it, and as you can see, this is our new filter, and these are our filter wrenches. This is the different wrenches that they have to remove the filter. You can use any one that works for you. This one is a cap that you can see like this, that the ratchet goes right in through the back right here, and you actually put it over the top like this, and you can remove it from the car as needed. That's one type. There's another type you have such as this that you can put over the filter like that. It goes over the top of the filter just like this, and again you put your ratchet through the top right here, and when you rotate it, these jaws right here dig into the filter and it takes the filter off. Now the other kind you can use is a band wrench such as this. It just goes over the top of the filter like that, and then you would take it and you would rotate it and you would take it off. So depending on personal preference which one you want to use, and here is going to depend on how much clearance we have in there to see which one we're going to use, but we'll see that once we lift it up and take a good look underneath the bottom. We're going to make sure that we use the correct motor oil. This car calls for a 0W20 motor oil. Not that I'm pushing one brand of motor oil over another, but 020 is very important that you use the correct weight oil. All right, now underneath the car itself, this is the bottom of the car. Now as you can see, you have multiple drain plugs here. You'll have a drain plug here, that's for the transmission, and then you'll have this over here, which is the engine oil itself. This is the engine right up in here, and this is your transmission over in this area. So we're going to make sure we take out the correct plug. We're going to take this plug out here. We are going to have a suitable container such as that to catch the oil in, and then we're going to come up underneath here, and our oil filter is actually up underneath here. You pull this back and you can see that white thing there. That's the filter. All right, so all right, let's drain the oil first, and then we'll come back and we'll change that filter. So all right, let's get set up and let's get started. Okay, so this is our oil drain plug right here. We're going to bring our container up so we can catch the motor oil in it. And we're going to break this loose. We're going to break it loose first. Actually, that was very loose. We're just going to lift this up. And then we're going to take out this drain plug. Now remember what I said about the gloves. That's very important that you wear gloves, because this oil on your skin is never good. Okay, so now we're going to let that motor oil drain out, and we'll once it finishes draining, then we'll come back and we'll put the drain plug back in, and we'll put that back in there and wrap it up. Now I just want to point this out. This is the gasket on here. You can see this gasket on here. We are going to grab a new gasket in the back, and we're going to put a new gasket on here because this one is in pretty poor condition. So when that oil is draining, we're going to go get a new gasket, and then we'll come right back once the oil finishes, and we'll put it back together. Okay, once your oil finishes draining out, then you'll screw your drain plug in. You're going to screw it in by hand with our new washer on there as well. And then we're just going to snug this bolt in. We're not going to go over tightening it and stripping out the oil pan. So we just snug it in there, and now our oil is drained out, we're going to wipe off any residual oil here. And now we're going to come up underneath over here, and we're going to drain take the filter out, and we'll change the filter. Okay, so this is our filter right up inside here. So we do have our bucket down below, and now we're going to take the filter off. Okay, now this is loose. We're going to bring our bucket back up underneath the bottom here, just like that. And then we're going to loosen the filter and let the oil drain out for a little bit. Make sure you have that bucket down underneath there. Now, something else I just want to point out to you as well. Now, when you take the filter out, as you remove the filter, you want to look underneath the filter here, right here, and you want to make sure, see this O-ring right here? You want to make sure that that O-ring came down, because sometimes this O-ring stays up inside the oil filter housing, and it creates a problem. So make sure that that O-ring comes off. If it did not come off, then you basically just reach up in here, and you pull the filter O-ring out, and you can put your new one back on. Now, whenever you do this, we are going to clean all this off here, just so you know, we're going to wipe it all down. But whenever you put an oil filter on, you want to always make sure that here you actually coat this with clean motor oil before you put it back on. And then we'll just screw it back up like this. Screw it on as tight as you can by hand. There's no need to tighten it up with a wrench or anything like that. You make it as tight as you possibly can by hand, and it'll be fine. Okay? Now we just take a rag and we wipe off any of that residual oil there, because this oil will drip for a long time. So we just wipe all the oil off all the way around on both sides, so we don't have any mess dripping in your driveway, like that. And that's it. So now our oil filter's up. Let's take these lights back out, and we're going to lower it down, and we'll close this back up. Now, this piece here, I just held it back with the bungee cord, but we are going to put a push pin back inside here to keep this out of the way so it doesn't interfere and touch into the wheel. So let me grab that push pin, and we'll wrap that up. Like I said, this one was missing, but we'll put a new one in just so we don't have any issues. All right, let's lower it down, and we're going to put the oil back in. Okay, now this is where your motor oil goes in, right up in the top right over here. So we're just going to take this cap off right here. And normally on the cap itself, it'll tell you what kind of motor oil goes in here, but nowhere on here does it say what weight oil goes in here. So make sure you either consult your owner's manual or you look on the computer. So let's go back by the computer just to make sure what we're doing. Okay, so here we are, 2014. It's a Nissan Altima 2.5 liter. And as you can see, the viscosity is actually 0W20. So make sure you use the correct oil. Don't just assume that a 520 or a 530 or whatever can go in there. You need to know for sure. And now we're just going to check capacity. And I already looked it up before, but I want to show you. This calls for with the oil filter, it calls for 4.78 quarts of oil. So we're going to put about 4 3/4 in, and then we'll start it and make sure it's full. Okay, now as tempted as you may be to just try to pour the motor oil in there, make sure you use a funnel. And now, like I told you, I'm not pushing one oil over another. This is what the customer requested, so that's what we're putting in. Make sure you use the right viscosity. It's 0W20, and this one is a 5-quart container. So we're going to pour in almost all 5 and then we're going to just start it and check it. So let's do that. Now, most of these containers that actually come here, they have plastic on top, not plastic, metal ring on top. Make sure none of this stuff goes in there by accident. Make sure you take this and throw it away. You do not want to get a piece of this metal inside by the valve train and in the engine. All right, so now we're going to pour in like 4 3/4 quarts of oil. Before you start it, you definitely want to take your funnel out. Make sure you screw your cap back on. And then we're going to start it, let it run for just a minute, and then we'll shut it off. Okay, now after it sits for just a minute, we just pull the dipstick out, wipe the dipstick down. You want to have it nice and clean. And remember, your oil has got to be between the upper and the lower mark. It's got to be someplace in there. Closer to the upper is preferable. All right, so now after you wipe the stick down, you put the stick in, push it all the way down, make sure it's all the way down to the very bottom here. And then you pull it back out. And we'll take a look at it and see. And as you can see, we're almost to the upper mark right now. So we're okay just where it is, because when this sits overnight, it's going to actually, you know, go down inside there. All right, now our cap is back on. Let's talk for a second here. So that's pretty much it. The oil change is now done. The only thing we are going to do is we're going to look down underneath the vehicle, make sure everything is bone dry underneath there, and that there's no leaks anyplace. All right, we are going to check all the rest of the fluids, and we're going to go on the computer just to see if there's a maintenance required light that needs to be reset. But let me look on the computer just to make sure. Okay, there is a reset on the maintenance required light, so we are going to go inside the vehicle now. We're going to reset that maintenance required light. But just in case you're not staying with me for that reset, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, so this is how you reset the maintenance light. The controls you're going to be using is going to be basically this right here, as well as this one right here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just press and release this button here, and you'll see what happens. Tire pressure, we're going to keep press and release, press and release, press and release, and then we come to driver assistance or settings. Then you'll come over here and you'll scroll down with this button, pressing down and release until we get to maintenance. And then once we're in maintenance, we come over here and press this button in to enter it. Service, I'm going to hit this button here again. And now as you can see, I did reset it already. But if it wasn't reset, you would just come over here, click it down like that, press this button here, and you reset it. And that's it. You're all set.